So I've got a broken garage spring right here. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how I replaced it. Stick around. So the other day I came out and tried to open the garage and it would not work. And right away I decided to look at the springs up here because these are the original springs. They're 15 years old and I just knew I was on borrowed time. Long story short, this one broke. I guess you call these torsion springs. I've got two of them, boom, boom. Since the one's broke, I'm gonna go ahead and replace both of them. So the first part of this process for me was to order the appropriate springs to replace these. So essentially, you take a measurement and get an idea how long they are, you get an idea on how thick the spring itself is, and you get an idea of what's the diameter of the spring itself. So those few measurements will help you order the right springs. So I went ahead, ordered those springs, and here they are here. And obviously you gotta make sure you get one for this side and that side. They call this side, I believe, the right-hand spring, and this side, the left-hand spring. And they're usually denoted by colors. The red here would represent the right spring, which is this side on my right hand looking this way, I guess. And then the left spring, I think, is usually black and goes on that side. And this is sort of the diameter I was talking about that you need when you figure out which springs you're gonna get. So to do this, you really just need a few tools. And a little disclaimer here, I'm not a professional at this. This can be a little sketchy. These springs, when they're on the door, they're under a lot of tension, and it could be very dangerous. So this is something that if you're not comfortable with it, you shouldn't try to do because you could get seriously hurt if this is performed the wrong way. In that case, it's always good to call a professional. I am not a professional. I'm just showing you how I got this done. So basically, I just need a few tools. I need the springs, obviously. I need these bad boys. There's two of these. In this case, they came with the springs, and this is what we're gonna use to take the tension off the spring and put the tension back on and hopefully not get hurt. So other than that, all I'm really gonna need is a socket. In this case, it's 9/16, a matching wrench, and also a 3/8 wrench as well, and vice grips. Oh, here it is. Boom. That should be all I need to do this. So I'm gonna get started now. First thing I'm gonna do is take the tension off of the old spring. You gotta be careful because this spring is not broke, so it still has a lot of tension on it. So I'm gonna do that now. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to pull down on this, and that's basically unlocking the garage door from the garage door opener track. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the tension off this old spring. Now this spring definitely still has tension on it, so you gotta be careful with it here. This is where I'm gonna use these special tools. In this case, it came with my springs. And the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna take this up, shove it in there, make sure it's all the way in there. Then I'm gonna take my 3/8 wrench. I'm gonna undo these little lock things here. Okay, so that one's off. Again, I got a lot of tension here. Okay, so now we have a live spring here. At this point, what I want to do, put this down here, let it catch, right? I'd like to keep a hand on this if you can, but it's tricky. It should stay in there with the tension. And I'm gonna take this up, and take this one out. Push it down. And then again, same thing, take this one up and come down, and we're gonna do this till all the tension is off the spring. And it'll probably take like 30 quarter turns. What some people do is actually tape the tip of these so they know that the pole's in deep enough. That's probably not a bad idea. Okay, it's starting to get a little wobbly, so we're losing the tension. All right, now there's no tension on the broken spring, obviously, so I can just take my 3/8 wrench, loosen this up. Okay, and now I can disassemble it over here. All right, now I'm gonna take out these two bolts here. And again, this is 9/16 in this case. Try to do it with a socket and a wrench. Oh, that came off quick. There we go. Just gonna pull these out. Okay, and we're gonna save these or reuse them. Okay, so now the springs are loose. The little bushing type thing in here we're gonna replace too. And so now I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna take this cable off and then take this wheel off as well. And take the cable off, we just kind of come down here, pull this off, slip it out. And then we just undo this here. Right now these are loosened up. I can push this like that. And I'm gonna do the same thing to the wheel on the other end. I'm gonna take the cable out and then undo this, and then we can play with the pole to get the springs out. Slide this over for a second, and then now I can slide this whole thing that way. Okay, so we can take this off, take this off, set it somewhere time being, and then we can take this spring off. I'm actually going to get this bushing while I'm here too. And now that that's off, I can put the new bushing on. So I'm going to slide the new bushing on. Now, trick is to put the correct spring. You don't want to say the right spring because this is the left spring. Before I put it on though, I got to loosen the set screws. And those bad boys all the way up. Okay, so now to do this, I'll let it come up like this. And here we go. Now what I'm going to do, put this back on. And then okay. Push this side over now. Take this off and put it down somewhere. Slide the old screw off. Alright, now we can get the new spring. It's important to put the right spring on. This is the right hand, or the right side spring. I'm not sure the actual, gosh darn it, I forgot to unloosen these things again. Okay, so again, it should be the right side spring. There we go. And then, we'll put this back on too. Then we can slide it back over into here. Okay. Whew. Now I can slide these guys down. So I guess at this point I can go ahead and reconnect the cable and set this cable up and over here. Stick it in here. And now that we've got the cable in there, I pull this tight, and then I'm going to reset those set screws with the 3/8 wrench, and I'm going to turn them till they get tight, and then about 3/4 of a turn more. This is nice and snug. Now I'm going to go do the same thing on the other side. So I should have mentioned this earlier. I'm actually going to reset my wheels with cables on them over here. What I had to use the vice grips to kind of keep this shaft in place from not turning till once I get these wheels set where I want with the appropriate tension on the door itself. So I've got kind of deformed pipe from where the set screws were on the original springs. I can't get my little bearing across, so what I'm gonna do is try to file it a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so now I just gotta line these back up. Got the bearing right in here. Slide it in. The bolt back through. Okay, there's one. Throw the nut on. Okay, thread this back on. Okay. Whew. All right, so now that's together. Now we can start put some torsion back on these springs, which is the same as how we took the torsion out, or the tension out. We're just going to do the opposite. From what I understand, most of these are turned about 30 quarter turns, which is one turn before a stick replacement. So I'll probably start with that and see how it goes. But basically, I'm just going to put this screwdriver through here, shove it in there, and it's just going to act like a brake in case I wind the screws too tight. This should stop it from pulling up. All right, so now for the fun part, time to tension these springs. And basically what I'm going to do is the same thing we did when we untightened them or unwound them, is I'm going to wind them 30 times and then tighten the tension screws. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I went ahead and wound it 29 times instead of 30. It's a little bit longer spring than the old one, so I'm just gonna underdo it for now. Let's go ahead and tighten these. Okay, when I'm there, I'm gonna go a half a turn, tighten this one, and we'll go 3/4 turn, tighten this. That's good, and then let's do another 1/4 turn on this one. And kind of let off slowly. Okay, now that I've got some tension on here, I can go ahead and take this vice grip off. And so that spring's live now. It's got tension on it. Do the same exact thing on the other side. I'm gonna do about 29 turns and snug it down. All right, so I'm already at 25 turns on this. And again, I'm gonna stop it at 29, but I wanna show you, proper way to do this is probably better to rest this after every turn before you stick the other stick in. So I'm at 25, so I'm gonna go 26, put this in, rest it, it's 26, 27, let it rest, 28, rest, 29, rest. Okay, what I'm gonna do is bring it up a little bit and start to tighten these. Tighten it by hand first, half turn, come back and put another 1/4 turn on it. Okay, so there we go. Good thing is this garage isn't lifting itself up, but the question is do we have enough tension on it to lift the garage and see if it's balanced? So let's check that now. Hold on, you gotta be careful when you're working on garages. If you leave any tools like this, would have been bad. So, things clear, I gotta take out my screwdriver. Okay, now let's see if I can lift this. And it feels pretty good. So pretty good. So now I can hook up the garage door opener and we should be good to go. So now I can lock this back in. Okay. Go hit the button and see what happens. So there we go, it worked. And not too hard of a project, but you definitely have to be careful. Again, I'm no expert in this. I just wanted to show you how I was able to get it done from a DIY aspect. I do think it is a very DIY, doable project with the caveat of safety. When those springs have tension on them, they can be very, very, very dangerous. So if you have any hesitation, definitely get a professional to do this for you. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe Kistel.